Bro, Rico Verhoeven just found out that the man who beat him, the man whose fight with him, has sparked the biggest robbery controversy in boxing history, might be walking away from the sport forever. And Rico's reaction is not what anybody expected. Because while the entire boxing world is debating whether Usyk should retire, while his former promoter is publicly begging him to go home to his family, while Eddie Hearn admitted he felt something was wrong before the fight even started, Rico said something that reframes this entire story. Stay with me, because by the time we get to what Rico said about Usyk's legacy and what it means for the rematch, this hits completely different. Here is where it gets crazy. Alright bro, let's build this from the ground up because there are layers here that most people are completely missing. So here is the baseline. Saturday night, Pyramids of Giza, Egypt, the Glory in Giza event. Oleksandr Usyk, undefeated, 25 wins, two-time undisputed heavyweight champion, beat Anthony Joshua twice, beat Tyson Fury twice, defends his WBC heavyweight title against Rico Verhoeven. A kickboxer, 12 years as undisputed Glory heavyweight champion, 66 wins in that sport. But a man walking into a world title boxing match with one professional boxing fight on his record from over a decade ago. The whole world expected Usyk to handle this comfortably. Get in, get out, move on to the next big fight. Instead, what unfolded over 11 rounds was one of the most stunning performances the heavyweight division has seen in years. Rico outboxed the champion round after round. Two judges had it dead even after 10 rounds. One had Rico ahead and waved it off, later admitting to Peter Fury on the flight home that he stopped it because he did not hear the bell. The robbery conversation exploded immediately. Jake Paul, Francis Ngannou, Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Ariel Helwani, everyone in combat sports called it wrong. Rico filed a formal appeal. Turki Al-Sheikh demanded a rematch in Holland. And the internet destroyed Usyk when he went on Twitter and asked fans what they thought of the fight. But bro, here is where the story shifted. Because in the aftermath of all of that, a second conversation started. And this one is bigger than the robbery. Is Oleksandr Usyk done with boxing? Wait for it, because this is the part that nobody fully prepared for. The signs were there before the fight even started. Eddie Hearn, someone who has been around Usyk for multiple fight camps, who knows what the champion looks and feels like when he is locked in, said during fight week he just could not feel any confidence or buzz from Usyk, that something felt off, that the energy was missing before a single punch was thrown. Then the fight starts, and what Hearn sensed, the whole world could see. Usyk looked flat, looked slow, looked like a man carrying something heavy into that ring. Don Charles described watching it as a nightmare unfolding in real time, kept waiting for Usyk to turn it on, to show why he is the two-time undisputed champion, and that moment never truly arrived. And then after the fight, the moment that started the retirement conversation more than anything else. Usyk, in his post-fight interview, admitted he feels tired. Not tired from one hard night, just tired. From this man who has never once shown public weakness in his entire career. 3 words, I feel tired. And the boxing world stopped. His former promoter Alex Krassyuk went on camera and did not hold back. Said if he was there to advise Usyk right now, his next opponent would be his wife Katerina, his daughters, his sons. Said it is better to leave 1 hour before than 2 minutes after. Said from the bottom of his heart, he wishes Usyk to retire at his prime and be remembered as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Spencer Oliver said Usyk will be missed when he retires. Not if, when. Frank Warren got emotional discussing it. And a respected British boxing creator, someone with genuine ringside access who has interviewed Usyk personally, made the point that lands harder than anything else. He interviewed Usyk when he became undisputed for the first time. The emotion was overwhelming. He interviewed him when he became undisputed the second time. The reaction was flat. He had already done it. The hunger was different. And once a fighter is on bonus time, once all the goals are achieved, the danger level goes up dramatically because every opponent coming now has not achieved their dreams yet. Their hunger will always be higher. Here is where Rico enters the conversation. And bro, his reaction is not what you would expect from a man who just had a world title taken from him with 1 second on the clock.
Because Rico Verhoeven, who has every right to be furious, who filed a formal appeal, who posted the scorecards on Instagram and said leave emotions out of it, does not react to the retirement talks with anger, does not use it as ammunition. does not say serves him right, or he should retire because I was beating him anyway. Instead, Rico says something that reveals exactly the kind of man he is. He respects Usyk deeply. He calls the opportunity to share the ring with him an honor. He says Usyk is a legend of the sport, and whatever decision he makes about his future deserves respect. And then, and this is the part that matters, he says the rematch conversation is not over. That if Usyk decides to continue, he wants that fight. And if Usyk decides to walk away, he understands. Think about that for a second. This is the man who trained for 6 months with Peter Fury, who lost his mother during the training camp, who flew to Egypt and outboxed the best heavyweight alive for 10 rounds, who had the fight stopped with 1 second on the clock because the referee could not hear a bell. And he is showing grace toward the man whose official record now shows a win over him. That reaction tells you everything about Rico Verhoeven's character. And it makes the retirement conversation even more complicated. Because if Usyk does walk away now, if Krasyuk and Hearn and Warren and every insider around him convinces him this is the time, Rico never gets his rematch. The fight that the whole world knows Rico won goes down in history as a loss. Forever.
Boxing is the most corrupt sport of all time. Boxing is terrible. Rico Verhoeven was on his way to beating Oleksandr Usyk. He gets dropped in round 11. He gets back to his feet. Oleksandr Usyk looks to go and finish the fight with a couple of seconds left. He throws a flurry of punches. Rico Verhoeven is still in the fight, and the referee steps in and stops it. That is one of the worst stoppages I have ever seen. This is the most corrupt sport of all time. I don't know what the fuck that referee was doing. He should never be allowed to referee a boxing fight ever again. And honestly, I would check some of his betting accounts, because I would be convinced by him doing that he had Oleksandr Usyk to win by stoppage in round 11. That is the biggest pile of dog shit ever. Boxing is dog shit. This is why UFC is levels above it. They just robbed Rico Verhoeven. Also, during the broadcast late on into the fight where Rico Verhoeven is clearly winning, they talk about the open score and the open scorecards, and the WBC president had it level. What the fuck are we watching? What is this sport? It's awful. They robbed Rico Verhoeven in this matchup. It's every time there's any big fight in boxing, it always has to be ruined by something. Either scorecards, early stoppages. It's the biggest piece of shit.
No cap, that reality is the most uncomfortable part of this entire story. Here is where it gets crazy. Because while the retirement conversation is building on one side, and Rico is reacting with class on the other, the boxing world is having a completely different debate that cuts right to the heart of both stories. The question being asked by serious boxing people right now is not just should Usyk retire, it is, what does Rico Verhoeven's performance actually mean for boxing as a sport? A respected British creator with ringside access framed it this way. Usyk has 3 names on his resume because he fought Dubois, Joshua, and Fury twice each. For the greatest heavyweight of all time conversation, which is the only conversation left for Usyk, the resume needs more names. Caballel, Wardley, Talmadge, maybe Frank Sanchez. 3 more real names and suddenly the debate is completely different. And that could be the reason Usyk does not retire. Not money, not hunger, legacy. But here is the twist that Rico's camp is sitting with right now. If Usyk continues, if he fights Caballel, if he adds names, if he chases the greatest of all time debate, Rico gets pushed further and further back in the queue. The mandatory challenger takes priority. The legacy fights take priority. And the one fight that justice demands, the rematch between the man who arguably won the first fight and the man whose record says he did not, keeps getting delayed. And there is another layer. This same creator who has interviewed Usyk personally, who has been ringside for his biggest fights, who watched him become undisputed twice, said he would feel sick watching Usyk struggle against opponents he would have lit up a few years ago. Used Golovkin against Derevyanchenko as the comparison. Said the last thing he wants is to see someone who could not lace Usyk's boots a few years ago now giving him real problems. Bro, that comparison is not hypothetical anymore. Rico Verhoeven, who could not lace Usyk's boots in terms of boxing experience, just gave him the hardest night of his recent career. The slide has already started. The only question is how fast it goes from here. Here is my actual take. Usyk fights Caballel, wins, then gives Rico the rematch as his final fight, in Holland, in front of Rico's own people, on the biggest stage possible. And this time he finishes it properly in round 12, the way Peter Fury said he would. Usyk gets the clean ending to his legacy. Rico gets his shot. And boxing gets the closure it owes both of them. That is the only ending that makes everyone whole. The question is whether boxing is capable of doing the right thing twice in a row. Drop your take in the comments. Does Rico ever get his rematch? Or does Usyk retire and leave the story unfinished forever?